Cyclone Gabriel is bearing down on the North Island of New Zealand. It's very difficult to see from this map because it's such a complicated weather system, but this ex-tropical cyclone is now bearing down right over where I live and also across New Zealand's largest city, Auckland, with well over 1 million people at its mercy. Let's see what it brings over the next 48 to 72 hours. Well, it's now 5 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. It's starting to feel like a storm. We'll have a look outside and do my old test on the faraway hills, see if they're still visible. Then we'll have a look at the rain radar on our national weather forecaster.
Service. People can be confident that there are sufficient firefighters available to respond to Cyclone Gabriel. So far today, we have responded to a small number of 111 calls from people in Northland relating to wind damage that included helping evacuate a family after a fallen tree in their house.
It's still not feeling like a cyclone, it's just feeling more like a really grotty day. I can't imagine of there being any damage of any description anywhere around here at this stage, but it's just starting to get uncomfortable. There's been a couple of thumps where I've felt the wind on the building that I'm in, but I'm fully expecting things to really start hitting at 4 or 5 a.m. tomorrow according to the forecast. So stay tuned, I'll be doing further updates as and when they're needed. Just in case things get really bad, I decided to do a before and after of my yard. You can see that it's a busy place. I've got all sorts of projects here. What really worries me is the amount of glass that I have with these range sliders and windows that I have around the place. The Landrovers are quite an investment, believe it or not, but what really worries me is the future of this massive old man pine that I have in a corner. It's been through a lot of storms. I have taken a few branches off it so that the wind can whistle through it, but I wouldn't like to think of that dropping onto any of my stuff or any of my neighbour's stuff. Yeah, there's a bit of light debris around the place that's dropped off the trees and bushes so far, but nothing that I'm concerned about. We haven't even lost a pine cone at this stage. The wind's starting to build up, whipping around the place. I've got buckets of water sitting on top of things here just to hold the covers down. I've turned chairs upside down and tables. Hey, it will be dark soon. It's just coming up to 8 p.m. on Saturday night. It's not raining. It has rained a bit, but not a lot. I have heard the fire alarm go off 3 times, and I've seen the fire engines go past once. Don't know what it is. Accident, flooding, who knows. It's windy, but I don't think it's windy enough to blow anything over or blow anything down. So I've just bought myself a packet of my favourite biscuits, put my fabulous new slippers on that I got for my birthday from somebody who obviously cares a lot about me, and I'm going to sit back and watch Lex Friedman discuss nuclear fission and the future of energy with Dennis White. I've been charging up all my torches one by one, made sure that the gas stove's operable, put some towels down in front of the leaky shed door. There's not much else I can do now except wait. Good morning. It's 7:30 a.m. on Monday. I've had a brilliant night's sleep, didn't get woken by any wind or any rain, which I'm totally surprised about after hearing the forecasts. My water tanks are full. There's a mixture of pine needles and oak tree leaves scattered all across the place, and yeah, things are wet, but So far, there's been no damage. I'll get back to you shortly. Good afternoon and welcome to the 2 p.m. update, where it's now starting to feel like a cyclone. It's belting with rain. I'm only using belting with rain as a term comparative to over the last few rainstorms that we've had that brought us flooding and landslips and 4 deaths. Yeah, it's raining more than it was then. So I'm not concerned yet because I've got good drainage here, nothing leaks. The wind, so far, hardly anything, not worth talking about. Everything's tied down in the garden. I've caught up with all my chores. I bought a packet of my favourite biscuits. I think I might make a pile of cushions for the afternoon and watch myself a good documentary. There's really only 2 things that concern me. One is 36 quail's eggs that I'm incubating at the moment. They're halfway through the cycle. They've still got a week to go. Although I'm on solar, when we get weather like this, I'm not getting much of a charge. And I have got the heater and the incubator going all day and all night for 2 weeks. So I can see it taking its toll on the charge already. So I'm hoping for a little bit of daylight so that we can get this going, or more wind actually, because the wind turbine is finding it difficult to keep up with the lack of power that the panels are providing. By the way, the reason that the panels aren't producing particularly well at the moment is because I've got a webbing tie-down strap over them, and that basically puts each row out of commission. One strap across each row and it kills the whole row, so that's why the solar panels aren't doing much right now, but I can't risk losing them, so it's one or the other. The other thing is the big pine tree in the corner of the section. It's 16 metres tall, that's about 40 feet I think, and I've seen pine trees blow over in weather like this. I just hope it blows out onto the road and then the contractors will come with their big chainsaws, pick it up and take it away, and leave me with whatever firewood I asked for, I guess. If it falls on my place, it'll do a lot of damage. It's 7 p.m. I'm watching far too much YouTube, and yeah, the weather's filthy outside, but the wind isn't in any way damaging around here, and I don't think that we'll have any flooding around here yet. Auckland's getting a belting right now. Heavy rain, minor flooding, land erosion from sea action. We'll just wait and see what happens. I know that areas like Whitianga is a town that has waterways where people can park their boat at their back doors. I would never buy real estate that was at sea level. This is just ridiculous. They're getting a beating. Water right up to their back doors. What a surprise. I could poke the camera out the window and show you the water getting whipped off the roof before it gets down to the guttering, but you don't need to see that. Sorry about the noise of the rain on the roof, but we've got no issues with wind, which is great news. It's midnight, Monday night, it's belting with rain. I'm not going out there to have a look, but I can just imagine rain running off the road and running down my driveway and tumbling down to the bottom of the property and then heading down to the neighbours where it ponds. Nothing much I can do. I bought this place on a day like this so I could see where the water got to. First thing I did was extensive drainage to get water to go past my place rather than through my place. The lights are flickering a little bit, you may be able to see that in the video. Don't know what the issue is there, but I'm off to bed. I'm sure that if something serious happens, I'll get woken up. Everything's dry, everything's safe. As I say, the wind has dropped right down. Let's just see what the next few hours bring. Well, folks, it's 9 a.m. Tuesday morning. Everything appears to have passed. It's absolutely dead calm outside. On my deck, I've got an assortment of foliage from my trees. Nothing has blown over. Nothing has been damaged. I did hear the volunteer fire brigade siren go off a few times. I did notice how quiet the road was. Everybody staying home and looking after their people. It did rain a lot. There has been damage, but thankfully, once again, Tiny House and Off-Grid Resources has survived to carry on another day. I'm going to jump in the car and go for a little drive around and see if I can find any evidence of what went down last night. Who's coming?
Road off the main road, and we've managed to get 2 bars on a cell phone tower miles away. So we've been a bit lucky, but unfortunately far afield when no one else saw.
So as Mayor, obviously you're trying to find what you can about the district, but there's just no way of you updating those comms at the moment.
No, so I had nothing. So I've managed to try and this is just a fluke. It came up here before, came up, it didn't go, it's going now. And I've just found out that we've got a national state of emergency, so that's news to me. And but it's going to be like this all over. It's going to be really difficult. It's going to be a really good learning curve for I think a lot of New Zealand that whilst all this new stuff.
About the national state of emergency, have you?
Yeah, I just turned on the phone and it came up now. So this is the first. Our radio's not working.
As I walked up to this puddle, I saw a couple of small fish, but they evaded me. They've disappeared under this piece of wood. I'm trying to tease them out with my foot, but they've got away from me. They look like they were carp from the lake. I'll have to see if I can devise some way of getting them back into their proper environment. This is the second place I've seen this morning that's pumping its basement dry. Meanwhile, on that lovely little terrace that runs down the side of the riverbank, where the rich people live, their gardens are all full of water. I'm not going to go down to the end and see the complete extent of the flooding, but I know that people's houses will be affected. The river itself is raging. Oh, look. Road farts. This is the first of those houses. There are about 4 or 5 more down the end. And I do feel sorry for them, but rich people will buy places with sea views and river views. One thing they seem to forget is that all the water that lands in our town all ends up down here. You can plainly see how the water has been over the top of these fences from the debris lines. And looking across the road, check out the tide line on their fence. Honestly, this must have been lapping at their house door last night. I'm going to stick my neck out here and I'm going to prophesy, is that the right word? I'm going to prophesise what I think our next national emergency would be. I think we're going to have a problem with foot and mouth disease. This farmland is devastated. It's still warm weather. The spores for foot and mouth can flourish.
The Beehive has been in
this weather
this morning with Civil Defence Emergency Management Groups and with emergency services. Based on that, my conclusion and the conclusion of us all was that a national state of emergency should be recommended to the Minister. The declaration covers the 6 areas or regions that I mentioned, and now with the declaration from Tararua District, they will also be added. If other areas or regions declare in the coming hours, we'll add them to.
Foot and mouth is not as dangerous as they make it out it is. Foot and mouth is like a cold for cows. They come right, they get better. There's no need to cull cows that are affected by foot and mouth. Take my word for it. Of course, if it happens, it'll decimate the dairy industry, which of course is just what they want.
This is the Civil Defence broadcaster and is available on AM and FM frequencies. Thank you. Happy to take questions. I'm happy to take that one, Minister. So, not a particular event, but I would say that this morning when we conducted our engagement and consultation with the Civil Defence Emergency Management Groups and also with the agencies present here in the National Coordination Centre, and they include police, FENS, NZTF and many others, our assessment.
Thankfully, not too much of this. I haven't seen a single wind-damaged building yet. Only trees.
No, that's where it is with FENS, Foreign Emergency New Zealand and New Zealand Defence Force, that this move has happened. It will enable a coordination and prioritisation of future resources. The third time this has happened, the announcement of the national state of emergency comes back to the scheduled break and pandemic.
Wherever there's trees, there's mess. Just have a look at the stuff on the road that's coming up.
residents check home. She says the families are likely to spend another night in Shell. All friends and family on higher ground. Lily says the district is without power to cover their
talking to a guy down on the river who was just aghast. You know, he was saying, never seen anything like this. We had a chat and I asked, you know, have you got food?
Well, I'm just listening to the radio as I drive around. It's quite sobering. Listening to the radio more so than actually seeing it firsthand. Driving around here, it does appear that we've come through relatively unscathed. I do know that further north up the Coromandel Peninsula there are more than dozens of slips. I could possibly say that there are hundreds of slips on the region's roads. Some of them are devastating slips, others are small ones that can be cleaned up in no time at all. There are shops and houses and buildings and businesses that have been inundated with water. We are under now a national state of emergency. From what I can see, this storm has cut a swathe from the top of the North Island almost to the bottom of the North Island. That's around 1,000 kilometres. The coastlines have suffered the worst. Inland, it doesn't seem to be quite so bad. Certainly, right here in my little town, I'm 12 kilometres away from the coast. And I'm just hoping that after all this, we do get things fixed up in time to have one of my favourite local events, which is our mudslide day. Not to be missed.
What do you need, Craig? We now have this national state of emergency declared, and we were told that